Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, a princess named Snow White was born. Her hair was as dark as midnight, her skin as white as fresh snow, and her eyes as bright as the stars. Everyone in the kingdom admired her gentle spirit and beauty. But the queen, Snow White's stepmother, was not kind. She was proud and jealous, and every day she would ask her enchanted mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" For many years, the mirror answered, "You are, my queen." But one morning, the mirror spoke differently, "Snow White is the fairest of them all." The queen's heart filled with anger. She could not stand the thought of anyone being more beautiful than her. She decided that Snow White must disappear. The queen ordered a huntsman to take Snow White deep into the forest and never bring her back. But when the huntsman looked into Snow White's kind eyes, he could not harm her. Instead, he whispered, "Run, Snow White. Run far into the forest, and never return to the castle." Terrified, Snow White fled into the dark forest. The trees loomed high above her, and the sounds of owls and wolves echoed around. She cried, but she kept moving, hoping to find safety. At last, she discovered a little wooden cottage hidden among the trees. Inside were 7 tiny chairs, 7 small bowls, and 7 little beds. Exhausted, she lay down on one of the beds and fell fast asleep. When night came, the owners of the cottage returned, 7 dwarfs, each with a colorful hat and cheerful eyes. At first, they were surprised to see a young girl sleeping in their home. "Who is she?" whispered one. Snow White awoke and explained her story, how her stepmother, the queen, wished her gone. The dwarfs listened with pity and kindness. The eldest said, "Stay with us, Snow White. We will protect you, and in return, you may help us keep our home bright and warm." From that day on, Snow White lived happily with the 7 dwarfs. She cooked for them, sang sweet songs, and filled the cottage with joy. But the queen soon discovered the truth: Snow White was still alive. Furious, she prepared a dark spell. She disguised herself as an old woman and carried a basket of shiny red apples, each hiding a terrible curse. Disguised, she walked through the forest and found Snow White at the cottage door. "My dear," the old woman croaked, "try this apple, the sweetest you'll ever taste." Snow White, kind and unsuspecting, took the apple. The moment she bit into it, she fell to the ground in a deep, silent sleep. When the dwarfs returned, they found Snow White lying still and pale. They tried everything to wake her, but nothing worked. With heavy hearts, they placed her gently in a glass coffin, surrounded by flowers, and kept watch day and night. One day, a prince passed through the forest. He saw Snow White and was struck by her beauty and sadness. Kneeling beside her, he whispered, "Such kindness should never fade." He gently kissed her hand, and suddenly, Snow White's eyes fluttered open. The spell was broken, she had awakened. The dwarfs cheered with joy, and the forest filled with music and laughter. Now White thanked the dwarfs for their love and protection. She left with the prince to his grand castle, where they soon married in a joyful celebration. The 7 dwarfs were honored guests, dancing and feasting alongside the kingdom. From that day forward, Snow White and the prince ruled with kindness and fairness. And Snow White lived happily ever after, never forgetting the friends who had saved her life.